Good morning and welcome to Real Women, Real Issues. I have Shanari Williams here with me today, and we're going to discuss some financial planning for women. Good morning.
Absolutely. Good morning. I just first want to thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank
I'm
you for
honored.
being here.
Great
Thank you
show.
for coming.
For sure.
Please tell us, what should we do when we're starting out trying to plan for our future?
Well, I really appreciate that question because what it is for me is really about the empowerment of women, and specifically the financial empowerment of women. And that's kind of been a buzzword for a lot of folks this year, empowerment, but people don't often think about what it actually means to empower. And so what it really is about is investing with power, the women that I work for and around. And what we as women need to really do first and foremost is understand, that we have such an impact on our global economy. We basically control 20 trillion plus globally, and about 9 of that is here in North America. So we need to understand our power as women, and we need to surround ourselves with those that are going to give us the best advice in terms of how to best invest those monies. But it really starts with our mental and understanding our position and our value, and then kind of going from there for sure.
So tell me, if I'm 40 years old, haven't done any saving in the past, gone through a divorce, so now I'm getting my independence, looking at the future, trying to do some decisions I haven't done in the past. What's the first step I should take in trying to invest in my future?
Well, let me just first say that that's really not an unusual circumstance. In fact, quite a few women, obviously, and men as well, go through divorce on a yearly basis. And it really is a transitional time for people's lives. So I think first and foremost, mental health is important. I also think that, our mindset and our motivation. So what I mean by that is we have to first of all decide we want to have a plan of action. And we need to make sure that we are in a space mentally to go forward with that. So it's ironic, but people assume that we're going to talk about finances when I first meet with them, but in fact I really need to talk to them about their mindset and where they are emotionally, what their thoughts are about money, those type of things first and foremost, and then that they're actually dedicated to going forward with the plan. So what I mean, for example, about maybe mental state and attitude, our minds is much like soil. Whatever you plant will grow. So if you plant positivity and frustration and upset, that's what you're going to receive. And it's the same thing. I first want to make sure my clients are excited and motivated and thinking positively and surround themselves with the same type of people before we can even explore what's happening with their finances.
So tell everyone out there why they should come to you for your financial planner.
Well, I mean, I'm a little biased. So what I would prefer to do, though, is really talk about what they should be looking for when they're looking for someone to help them with their wealth and to be an advisor. So, for example, to me, first and foremost, they need to find someone who values them and appreciates them. That's first and foremost. And then second of all, they need to find someone who basically is going to be dedicated, hardworking, and an advocate for them. And to me, there's no way to advocate for someone if you don't know their story. You need to really build a relationship. So you need to, have an advisor that's willing to do those things.
Because we're all
first
different.
And foremost. Absolutely.
And what we want is different, where we come from is different, and also what we have. So you say, I'm 40 years old, just now starting, it's not too late?
It's never too late, to be frank. Now, you may need to do a little bit more praying if it's a little later than sooner. However, it's never too late. Once you have a plan and kind of know what direction to go into, we certainly, we can make adjustments. And that's important, too, in picking an advisor. You need to find someone who's going to customize everything specifically to you, your circumstances, and your lifestyle, for sure.
Now, do you work with your customers from beginning to end?
Oh, absolutely. Holistic wealth management is critical. So what I mean by that is your advisor, as I mentioned, should really understand who you are, who your family are, what your goals are, what you enjoy, what you don't like, your tolerance for risk, for example. All those things are absolutely important and critical, that the person that's helping you manage your money, is a part of that as well.
Right. Well, after I pick you, you're going to be my financial planner. You're going to look at my mental state, see what I want, where my goals are, decide what I like, what I don't like, where I'm trying to go.
Absolutely.
And then you'll work with my portfolio, and you'll be with me from the beginning to the end.
Absolutely. It's really a lifelong commitment to me, and any good advisor, they look at their clients as really being lifetime clients. And so, I think first and foremost, we have to really help them to shift from what I like to call the ostrich approach to their finances, which is usually just sticking that head in the sand and you know, it's great in terms of feeling safe, but you kind of have that rear end out. So
you can't have that.
Yeah, we want to transition that and get them also further involved in what we're doing as well.
Thank you, Shanari. We'll be back with more Real Women, Real Issues, but now we're going to have the Juice of the Week from Jungle Juice.
Thank you, Ardell. I'm Regina Hunter-Coleman.
And I'm Sarita Hunter-Doss. Today, I will be making a pear spinach smoothie. So I use about 2 pears and about, I would say, a handful of spinach. And so it's best if you take the pear and you might want to cut it into 4s so that it can blend up easier in the blender.
The nice thing about the pear spinach is it has a lot of nutrients. For example, did you know that pears are loaded with fiber? It has vitamin A, vitamin B1, B2, C, as well as E. And it's also loaded with copper and potassium.
So I'm just putting the spinach in here now, and you can put the spinach in here whole. Of course, make sure you wash your fruits and vegetables. And then I'm going to add, you always want to add some liquid to it. And this is just agave and water.
It's about 10 ounces for about a 16-ounce drink. And another thing is a lot of times people are talking about trying to get more iron as well as fiber and more protein in their diet.
Voila.
A lot of the green leafy vegetables actually have more protein than the beef, pork, and chicken. So the nice thing about the smoothies as well is that the fiber is in there. So if you want to drink but you want to get your fiber, then the way to do it is to juice it or blend it.
Okay, let's give it a try.
This is a really simple drink, very easy to make at home. You can do it in probably less than 5 minutes, including the cleanup. Have a nice healthy drink on your way out to work in the morning or to school.
The spinach is also great for your digestive system.
Remember, this is another way that you can get your greens in your diet. Do a simple smoothie in the morning with some spinach.
Come join us at Jungle Juice Bar. And remember, your health is your wealth.
Try the Juice of the Week and much more at the Jungle Juice Bar. The Jungle Juice Bar is located on Charlevoix in Grosse Pointe Park.
We're the Cronin Law Firm, bringing more to the table. When we sit down together, we share our expertise. You've got a legal problem, we know you need relief. Advice that you can trust, that's why people come to us. We're the Cronin Law Firm, bringing more to the table.
We fix hearts, we fix heads, we do eyes and ears, noses and throats. In fact, more children come to Children's Hospital than any other hospital in the state. Stop the headaches, stop the pain, fix the tummies, the ankles, the toes, and fingers.
Emergency? When it's your child, don't settle for less. Trust the pediatric ER experts at the Children's Hospital of Michigan at the DMC. The ER at Children's Hospital.
Always there, just for them.
My friends, I want to introduce you to Samasco Financial. As attorneys, they worked hard to protect clients on a legal basis, only to watch many lose their money in the unpredictable and risky stock market. Samasco Financial has recognized the need for asset protection for our seniors and has introduced investment planning that will grow your nest egg without the risk of loss. To find out more about how Samasco Financial can protect your financial future, call 586-493-9989.
Real Women, Real Issues is brought to you by Mike's Fresh Market.
Welcome back to Real Women, Real Issues. I have Shanari Williams here with us. And the thing that is on my mind, how do you get women into your position? How did you get there?
Oh my gosh, I really love that question actually. And it's not easy. Obviously, it's a heavily male-dominated industry.
Definitely,
I'm usually one of few women, obviously, let alone women of color. So it's been quite the road. For me, I've been in financial services for well over 17 years. So started out with real estate just out of high school, transitioned to insurance, went on to taxes. Actually, I had a tax firm at one time, went into investment banking for a few years, and now am a stockbroker, wealth advisor. So it's been a long road in terms of experience. So I think it's
Right.
very important for, women in particular who are thinking about going into this industry, obviously, to try to get some experience in those industries. But, frankly speaking, a degree is really not required in terms of this role. There's licensing requirements, however, though,
Right.
for security. So
Right.
that's at a federal level as well as a state level. So it's important for, I think, women to maybe do more internships
Right.
in
Get experience.
financial services industries. I really, really love now that more schools are pushing math,
Right.
and not just to the male children, but for the female children. And I really, really want women to understand they have to start enjoying numbers and loving numbers to really be able to transition into a field like this, because it's not for the faint of heart.
Oh, no. And I think even if you don't become a professional in it, such as yourself, you should be aware and have knowledge in it so you can sort of take control of your own finances and your own future.
Absolutely.
Like I have two young girls, and I want them to be able to get into math, and as a rule, like you say, it's more of a male-dominated, field. Do you advise in high school having any clubs or organizations or things that, girls can participate in to hopefully get the love of the math?
Absolutely. In fact, coming up in the city of Detroit myself, I was able to enjoy programs like DAP, SEP, and I looked at the
Still
school. I
here.
played academic games, for example. So I really started to enjoy numbers, and I started to understand also everything is based on numbers.
Right.
And they're objective. Numbers really are just what they are, and
They're black and white.
it's one of the few things that we can rely upon as women. The stability of numbers is amazing. So yes, it's important that the schools reach out. I
Yes.
think that young girls also, though, need to pursue organizations and programs and perhaps mentorships for programs that will really, put them in financial services as an industry.
If someone were to invite you to come to their school and give information, is that something you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you asking about that, because that's kind of part of what I do in terms of education in the community. So I'm honored when I'm asked to come speak, at different programs, churches. I go to corporations. What's funny, though, is they are usually expecting this really boring, dull presentation on numbers and jargon, and I so don't talk about that. As we've kind of discussed, we talk about empowerment first and understanding what that means and those type of tips. And really, I wait till more one-on-one to talk specifically, with my client about
the numbers
products.
specifically.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes,
Well,
I'm
I'll keep
definitely
that
available.
in mind. I work in the schools also,
Okay.
and we have career days, and we're always looking to have, especially young women, to get into the field. And if they can look up to someone who's done it, successful at it, it gives them kind of a light in their eye where they can do it. And I think
Yeah.
even we need to have more women and women of color in the field.
Oh, are you kidding me? Absolutely. And to be frank, I feel as if there were those before me who did the same for me, and they mentored me, and they saw talent, and they really nurtured it. And I
Right.
feel like it's a responsibility of all of us, obviously, to
back.
reach back. And
for
not just
you.
reach back, but really help to propel others forward. So
I want to thank you, Shanari Williams, for coming and spending this time with us. I'm going to be in touch with you because I'm going to need you in the future.
looking forward to it. Thank you for having me.
And we will be right back with more Real Women, Real Issues.
Stress, depression, and severe mental illness can happen to anyone. Team Mental Health Services has been helping those struggling with these conditions in southeastern Michigan. Within 24 hours of reaching out to our team, members receive psychiatric evaluations and begin the necessary treatment for recovery.
Team is by far, from my estimation, a premier mental health service organization. We are addressing the basic needs and the mental health concerns of our consumers. We're able to provide 24-hour psychiatric care when needed.
Team Mental Health Services prides itself on going the extra mile for its members.
And it was towards the 6th court date. I finally stood up and said, I can handle this process the rest of the way. And it was all because of the motivation and encouragement I got from Team Mental Health staff.
Team Mental Health Services, because we care and you can.
Opportunity. It doesn't stare you in the face. It's not going to yell at you to come and get it. It doesn't knock. So what does opportunity look like? Not what you might think. You see, opportunity is not a right. It's definitely not equal. And it doesn't come with an instruction manual. That's because opportunity isn't found. It's molded, it's built, it's created. It's as much about grit as it is intellect. An explosive high-tech corridor located at the intersection of muscle and brains? You bet. Because opportunity only comes to those already in the game. What does opportunity look like? It looks like Detroit. Opportunity made in Detroit.
Good morning and welcome back to Real Women, Real Issues. I have attorney Linda Bernard here. Welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Tell us, where do you work and what do you do?
I'm an attorney in Detroit, but I'm licensed in 4 states and the U.S. Supreme Court, the U.S. International Court of Trade. I am as effective, I think, on the business side as I am on the legal side. I've managed hundreds of people and millions of dollars. I headed legal services for 16 years. And as an attorney, I've argued and won 3 cases in the Michigan Supreme Court. And I have an active practice currently in both state and federal court.
Wow.
So it's an interesting
Busy
life.
day.
Very busy.
How did you get into this?
Well, actually, medicine was my first love.
Okay.
But I can't really stand to see people suffer. So I'm not good at, you know, if you're bleeding, I want to comfort you. I don't want to cut off the leg to stop the bleeding. So my second love was actually law. So that's how I did it. I finished law school here in Detroit, an undergraduate school at Wayne State. I went to Monteith Honors College for undergrad. I finished in 3 years. Went to Wayne's Law School, and then I went back to law school at the University of Pennsylvania and earned a Master's of Law, and was their first African American to earn a Master's of Law at Penn.
Wow.
I did all this before I was 24.
Busy lady.
Very.
Now, we spoke briefly before we came on camera, and you do a lot of public speaking, and you also do a lot of pro bono work, I should say.
Well, I have done a tremendous amount of public interest work. That's what legal services does. What we do is we represent people who can't afford a lawyer. And I was very proud of the service that we did at Legal Services because of the law centers we created.
Right.
We created the only AIDS law center in the state of Michigan. We created a children's law center. We created an Arab law center, an Hispanic law center, a Native American law center, bankruptcy law center, domestic violence centers, law-related education programs. We were extraordinarily proactive and within a community that needed our services greatly, and they still do.
Now,
Detroit's
when you
poverty
say,
ratio is very high, as you know.
I apologize, but when you say a children's law center, do you represent only children, or you only,
Only in that law center, we only represented children. Children who were involved in expulsion hearings, children who in some instances had been accused of misdemeanors and so forth, and even children who were orphaned. As a matter of fact, I adopted a child whose mother was killed by her father. She was a client in the Children's Law Center. And so when one parent kills another, the child is instantly orphaned, of course.
Wow.
So that's how we do it. And so we represented her, and then I took her.
So you have centers, are these centers you spoke of in Detroit area only, or are there other states?
No, they were all in Wayne County.
Okay.
Because at that point, our service area was Wayne County. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons that we were so effective was because of the person who initiated this show, Mr. Steve Hood. He was with Legal Services. He too is a public interest-oriented individual, deeply committed to this community.
Oh, now do you still work in those services there, or do you do your own private
No,
practice?
I'm in my own
now?
private practice now, in state and federal court, and of course, business and entertainment. Entertainment is my second first love.
Okay. And do you have licenses out of state you
Yes.
spoke of? Now, do you practice there also?
Yes, Pennsylvania, I'm licensed in Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, the District of Columbia, and when it comes to federal court, you have to be licensed in each bar, and for example, the U.S. Supreme Court. There's a separate licensing procedure for each court you want to be in.
But this is home for you here.
Absolutely. Detroit.
This is where you do most of your work.
Absolutely.
Okay, I wanted to know, I know when you say children come to your children's service, I guess because I have a lot of moms watching the show. Now, do they come to you, do they have representation when they come to you, like an adult or someone who's a legal guardian, or can someone like a 14-year-old, for instance, and they want to, I don't know, be estranged from their family, for instance, can they just come to you?
Yes.
Okay.
A child could come to legal services directly to be represented, and that is frequently the case.
Now, do you talk to their guardians, or
Well,
do
you have to
okay,
at some
that's what I
point.
wanted to know.
It depends on the issues involved.
But you represent them and you keep that.
But your attorney-client privilege is with the
Right.
child,
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
not with the adult.
So what they tell you stays between you and your client.
Absolutely.
And then you in turn have to inject and get the parents involved if it's, for instance, a case they want to become, independent on their own and away from their family.
Oh, absolutely. It could be any issue. With the schools and so forth, they generally want to deal with the parent or an adult. So, you're representing the child in terms of the expulsion issue, for example. But in reality, the parents are part of that process. But the attorney-client relationship is with the child.
We'll be right back after this. But now to Dr. Shauna Ryder-Diggs for the skincare tip of the week.
We are beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can bring us down.
I'm Dr. Shauna Diggs with your skincare tip for the week. Many patients ask me about how to make their eyelashes longer. There is a treatment for that. It's called Latisse, and it's available by prescription or purchased at your doctor's office. This is Latisse. It comes in a box. Originally, this medication was used to treat glaucoma, eye drops that you put in your eye each day, and patients who would use the medication had their eyelashes grow very long. So then the company said, well, what will happen if we put it into a drop that you apply just to the skin? Could we make your eyelashes longer? And it works very well. So the medication comes in this bottle, and you actually get little brushes to use it each evening before you go to bed. So you put a little drop on the brush, and then you apply it to your upper eyelash on each side, and then as you sleep, your upper and lower eyelashes touch one another with the medication, and it makes your eyelashes grow. Generally, you can see results within 2 months, and by 4 months, your eyelashes are very long. Latisse is by prescription only or for purchase at your doctor's office, and I usually have patients see their ophthalmologist or optometrist for a general eye check prior to beginning the medication. I'm Dr. Shauna Diggs with your skincare tip for the week.
To learn more about Cosmetic Derm and their revolutionary skincare products and services, please visit drshaunadiggs.com.
Mike's Fresh Market, Detroit's largest independent supermarket with the best prices, quality, and service. Enjoy our vast selection of fresh fruits and vegetables. Wide aisles lead you to our own in-house bakery and deli. Beef, pork, chicken, seafood, and much more. You can rest assured you will feed your family the freshest food in town. Whatever you need, you can find it here at Mike's Fresh Market. Mike's Fresh Market with 2 locations, Gratiot and 7 Mile and Livernois and 7 Mile. Better food, better prices. That's Mike's promise.
ETX Closed Captioning is sponsored by the Detroit Seafood Market.
Welcome back to Real Women, Real Issues. Earlier, we talked about the power of women and having them in financial and being astute, knowing where their money is. Tell me about women in public.
Well, women in public service, of course, are in public service in every state in the union. There aren't that many women, I think, in public service that are high-profile women within Detroit, and I think that's a real problem. But on a national basis, I looked at that question and to see what Obama had done, what the president had done with respect to this issue. And quite frankly, there are really 3 primary women. One, of course, is Ms. Valerie Jarrett, who works with him directly. The other, of course, is Susan Rice, who's National Security Advisor. And the third, I didn't even know this because they haven't publicized it, the Surgeon General of the United States is an African-American woman, and also the head of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. When I was, they're only like with respect to the president, I think there were like 10 key appointees, but most of them we don't even know about because they haven't done a good job of empowering us, letting us know, what the sisterhood is doing.
What can we do?
Well, heck, I mean, it really falls on the White House, I mean, in that sense of the word. And then, of course, with respect to the United States Congress, I think there are 12 voting African-American women in Congress. I'm not counting Miss Norton because she can't vote. She represents the district. And there's a lady who also represents the Virgin Islands. So there are only 12 in Congress. Of course, the person that we hear the most about since Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick is no longer in Congress,
Right.
is Maxine Waters.
Right,
Out of
right.
Los
Out of
Angeles.
Los Angeles.
And there are like 3 from the state of California. Among the women that were most prestigious in public service, believe it or not, our own Kim Worthy made that list of 31.
Wow.
Which was very interesting, as did the Attorney General for the state of California, who we've all heard about because the president said she was attractive, and that created a furor within the media. So, I mean, in terms of public service, I've been in public service most of my career, with the city of Detroit and of course with legal services. But so women are generally drawn to public service because it's where our opportunities lie. The glass ceiling is great despite Mary Barra at General Motors. That's an oxymoron, quite frankly. And unfortunately, they have her, and she's taking the heat
And
for
she
all the
wasn't
things
even
that all
there.
the guys did for all the years.
Before she even got there.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have anybody who you think could take that place and be another light in that eye?
In terms of
being in a public official?
Well, they're not. They just don't exist in Michigan. I mean, Michigan is top-heavy male. Detroit is top-heavy male in terms of leadership. I mean, all of your county execs, all of your mayors, with the exception of Brenda Lawrence in Southfield, and of course she doesn't have power. She is a city manager. He has the power. The power is always where the money is. I've done a lot of work with Reverend Jesse Jackson and Rainbow Push, and he is one of his statements is always see where the money goes. Whoever has the money
has the power.
Has the power. Now you can have a titular position where you are the head of civil rights or something like that, but it doesn't matter because if you don't have a staff and you don't have a budget, you don't have any power. It's just that simple.
So we need to get you to run.
I ran for judge once. I was unsuccessful. But these issues are critical issues within our community. There are incidentally 3 African American mayors of what we might call major cities. Certainly one is Baltimore, one is in Baltimore, Maryland, one's in New Jersey. The lady, and then there's one in a place called Ashley, North Carolina, which really is not a major city, but it is an African American woman, and she is in fact a mayor. So you know, the progress has been very slow.
It has.
Both in public service and also within the law. There's only one African American woman that's on the Circuit Court of Appeals. You know, while we have federal court, then the Circuit Courts of Appeals that cover states, only one. She was a candidate for the U.S. Supreme Court when there was a vacancy before, but the president didn't pick her.
Thank you for tuning in this week. We have a great show lined up for you next week. I want to thank Linda for being here, and we'll see you next week on Real Women, Real Issues.